Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Saturday is for the Bone Boys. And today we are going to talk about some muskrats. Like this pattern a lot. Mainly, not necessarily for one of my everyday carries, but just the fact that they are symmetrical really catches the eye. They the symmetry of them looks really good, and the collection. 2 blades that are the same and the same shape side to side. Just really makes you stop and take a look at them. Having 2 blades that are similar, not necessarily a big selling point on a carry piece. I do carry this one from time to time, but I would much rather have some kind of a stockman or a jackknife with multiple points versus having 2 of the same blades in one knife. I just like the way these look, honestly. So here's 3 muskrat examples for you. Here we have a Ward's example. Made by Utica cutlery company or knife company. You can still see the etch. Master quality stainless. Here's a case muskrat. No pattern number, because these are just simply called the Muskrat stainless steel. This is from the Parker era, that 91 to 93 tang stamp, where they actually put the date on it. Now, I might be partial to this particular stamp. And try to pick them up whenever I come across them. Mainly due to Mr. 1.Daily. He's kind of got me on that kick. If you know, you know. And here's another Utica example. Very Rogers bone-ish, even though this is way after that time frame. Cutmaster from Utica Knife Company, or Cutlery Company, depending on what time period you're reading about them. So, a little history lesson on some of the utica knives, cutmaster knives. You see it is marked with a V underneath USA. Some people think this is a date code. That is not correct. The V actually stands for vanadium, as in carbon vanadium, similar to case CV. V is for a carbon blade in a utica knife. If you see this marked with a T, which this is an older example, it is not T marked, it will be stainless. And some people wonder why Utica started marking blades with a V or a T. V is vanadium for chrome vanadium or carbon vanadium, carbon steel. And the T stands for tungsten, which was Utica's trademark for their stainless steels. So a V is carbon and a T is stainless. It's kind of confusing, and one might ask themselves, why? Why a V instead of a C, and why a T instead of an S for carbon and stainless? Rumor is that back in the day, Utica had problems with sending out knives that were mixed with carbon and stainless blades. So they started marking them with the V or the T to make sure that things were not getting mixed up in the factory. And I know that sounds very folklorish or presumptuous, but here's another bone example of a Ward's knife, which most are made by Utica, some by Winchester, rumored some by Camillus. I have not come across any Camillus patterns yet in a Ward's knife. Not saying they're not out there, but this little Stockman here is marked Ward's. Stainless. Stainless. And then you obviously have a carbon steel blade. So I believe this Ward's knife to be one of the examples that caused the V and T to become a tang stamp on the later Utica knives of the 80s and 70s. Now, Klein also contracted knives from Utica that will be marked. You'll see them marked with a T, mainly with a T for their stainless blades, the little Klein jackknives and stockmans. And I'm sure there are some other contract knives that are slipping my mind that were made by Utica for other companies, marked with V and T, but I'm drawing a blank on any other examples that I have come across. But rumor was Utica started using the V and T stamps on their blades to not mix up stainless and carbon in knives, and this Ward's right here is a perfect example. I don't think this has been rebladed. I think this is all factory original from what I can tell, and the construction quality. I believe this is a factory original Utica knife for Ward's that was shipped out with a carbon blade and 2 stainless blades. But there's a little tangent for you on the muskrats and a little history on Utica and Ward's. V for carbon, T for stainless, V for vanadium, chrome vanadium, carbon vanadium, or T for tungsten stainless steel. Anyways, Saturdays for the bone, boys. Talking about muskrats and Utica's T and V tang stamps. Hope y'all got something out of this. This is Hillbilly Proud 762. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for being here more than you'll ever know. Y'all have a good one.